underfunding in the other areas. So it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's just there's no surplus there so it's either the new people who are in the tier 2 who aren't self-managed, as David said, they're basically, in a sense, almost creating a surplus for us, and they're not doing that with the self-managed.
But I think more and more new employees are not going to go in, they're going to go to self-managed.
Well, it's a difficult question. It's clear if you have a highly compensated employee, there's almost no question about that. But I'm not sure about a person who's not making a lot of money who wants to go totally alone without a defined benefit plan. That's a pretty difficult kind of choice.
We have a question over here.
Oh, yes, David, Fred, and Rachel. I want to put a positive spin on things. Inflation in the United States has been running about 2% for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure on these figures, but I think Social Security granted 0.6% last year and 2.0% this year. I've been under CSRS for 12 years now, and I've always received 3.0% COLA, cost of living adjustment, on January 1st. That is great. So we're happy. So my question is, do you foresee this continuing to 2022, the next 5 years?
Well, again, if someone appointed me a kind of benign despot and said you have to do something, I certainly would think about reducing the 3% back to the rate of inflation. But again, constitutionally, we can't do that. So that was one of these unintended consequences. I think we were talking about this before the meeting began. Back when this was approved, people were saying, well, we can't afford to give 6, 7, 8% cost of living adjustments. We're going to protect ourselves and put in the 3%. And they protected themselves by putting in 3%. Then obviously things have changed in the last 20 or 30 years in terms of inflation. And most of us are getting wage increases, not wage increases, but increase in real income every year because of that, which is that's not what a retirement system is intended to do. It's not supposed to make you better off each year compared to the year before. It's supposed to protect you against losing. So it's a situation that they should never have done, but again, they did it and they have to live with it.
So I just want to add, I think somebody asked earlier, well, how do you fix this situation? So, if we had inflation shoot up to 10% a year, which, we may soon have a Fed chair who believes that, who said inflation was going to shoot up to something like that. That's John Taylor from Stanford. If we really did have that kind of inflation rate, well, it would fix the funding ratio of the pension system, the Illinois pension system, pretty easily or pretty quickly. It wouldn't be good for you guys, but it would fix it. And it would probably help the fiscal situation of the state because of that, depending upon what the inflation rate was in different in Medicaid, et cetera. But.
Any last questions? If you don't, then I have one last.
There's a question over here.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sure you're both familiar with an organization called CTBA, which does analysis of the tax and budget accounting. In one of their recent papers, they reflected on the new Tier 3 plan that was proposed for the universities, and their conclusion was it would leave Illinois in pretty much the same place. Now, I think that many of us who made our careers at the university are concerned not only about ourselves, but about the future of the educational institutions in the state of Illinois, which contribute to its economic growth down the road. Do you have suggestions for organizations like ours or individuals of how to communicate to our legislators that we disagree with this kind of action that appears to be making changes but doesn't? What kind of communications do you suggest we make to the legislators that might have a positive impact going forward?
Well, let me comment on the specifics there. It depends on how you construe the state to be. The new system doesn't save any money for Illinois as a whole and doesn't cost any retirees money at all. What it does is shift some of the funding back to the colleges and universities and K through 12 schools. So it saves money for the state of Illinois, but not as the government, but not the state of Illinois as a entity. But the second part, I'm not very hopeful, or at least I don't know the answer. Most big things in Illinois, really major pension changes, things that are extremely important, occur with lightning speed behind closed doors, so there's almost no chance to do this. The example of that was in 2009, we had this really major Tier 2. That all occurred within 36 hours, and there was absolutely no input from the pension system, let alone so I guess you have to have this sort of steady pressure, but I think that to be able to weigh in on a particular issue is very difficult. So just sort of steady, make people aware of your concern, but I don't know how to intervene with these kind of discrete changes that occur.
I think we are going to wrap up. Just before we do, we've got one provocative question. You don't spend much time talking about it, but if you had to place your bets for governor in the upcoming race, who do you think is going to do the best job of protecting service funding?
I become a non-combatant. I used to have strong feelings about the national level and the state level, and now I suspect I didn't vote for either candidate last time at the national level, and I doubt if I'll vote for either one at the state level. So I think it's going to be a difficult situation either way.
I guess I'll just say that the one that has, at least that I know has a record on this issue is Senator Biss. Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of people who are public employees who have a lot of beefs with that. I think looking back, maybe people wouldn't have been as angry as they were at the time. I haven't heard really strong views from the other candidates, except Governor Rauner. We know what he'd like to do, but he probably isn't able to do what he would like to do.
All right, thank you. Well, please join me in thanking our wonderful presenters today.
And please thank our moderator, who really did a good job of reining in. Brenda, do you want to say? Oh. Yeah, well, I was going to say, we are over but not over. There is food at the table back there. We would invite you to have lunch with us. We would invite the panelists and the moderator to stay around and join us in lunch and maybe conversation. And while that young man is opening the door back there, I'm probably going to tell him to lock it again until you all agree to join SUAA if you haven't. But nonetheless, Marcia Borders is out in the hallway with material regarding SUAA. She's actually getting something to eat right now, but she'll be out there. And we can... Okay, and Brenda reminds me it only costs $42 a year to be a member of SUAA, and it can be easily taken out of your pension, and it doesn't, if you're a current employee, it comes out of your payroll. But that's not a lot of money to come out on a monthly basis, $3.50, something like that. So I encourage you to join. We're having our annual meeting next Tuesday, or our fall meeting next Tuesday. It's a policy meeting. We will be taking a stand, I believe, on the retirement income issue. It's on the agenda. That we're proposing to, the statewide SUAA is proposing that we would favor taxing retirement income, provided that there is a floor. And a couple other things like the state agrees to pay in its pension, and that may be the deal breaker. But anyway, thank you all for coming. It's been a good session. Our speakers were great. Our moderator was great. Food looks good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.